Welcome to Machine God Eats, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mr. Darling. When I started making content way back in 2013, 2014, most people that were still uploading themselves to the internet were doing so for the love of the game. Of course, the incentive to make money was there, but most channels were making content to grow an audience for the social aspect of social media. Of course, the ambition to make the dollars always sat there. But to become monetized on YouTube, to gain a following, it took a level of passion back in those days to want to even aspire to create content. You know, it takes a certain type of person to sit in front of the camera and expose themselves to the world, or to 2 or 3 people for dozens of videos until you actually start to receive an audience. It takes a level of commitment and dedication to be a content creator back then and to do so now. The difference between then and now is that the content back then was done so not necessarily to serve the algorithm. Most of the content was done because people had something to say. People had skits. They were trying to be funny. Vine was a thing back then. You had a lot of people that were getting online, of course, making careers out of that. But the vast majority of people were still uploading themselves just mostly to be seen or to have discussion. Content on here with the different podcasts and the different groups of people that will come together and have these debates, the different types of hot houses, hype house this, hype house this, all migrated to different streaming platforms. But at the time, some of the content that they created was some amazing content because everybody was almost competing with everybody to be better. Even one of my first videos, when I hopped on YouTube, in order to stand out, I made a whole cartoon about joining the Illuminati.
Ah, Mr. Darling. You've taken just about all the necessary steps to join the prestigious order of the Illuminati. There's just one more trial you need to pass in order to obtain your membership.
I've come this far. I'll do whatever it takes.
Good. Good. All you need to do is let Pumptimus Prime here fuck you in the ass. Yes, it is a tradition that has been passed down for millennia.
This is you're just fucking around, right? This is a joke.
The Illuminati does not joke, sweetheart. Don't worry, there's plenty of lubricant on deck.
Nah, I'm cool. Now, obviously, I didn't have an audience back then. I think I had about 2 or 3 subscribers. That video got seen by about 10 people. It's obviously super goofy and crass. But at the time when I hopped on YouTube, I was just starting to get into animation, as you could see. And I was, trying to be funny and trying to stand out and da-da. But I was doing it for the love of the game. I'm still proud of that cartoon, as goofy and as cringe as it is. But I'm proud of my journey throughout YouTube. And a lot of times, as my audience has started to grow here, I take for granted the fact that a lot of people that are new here don't know that I've been making content for so long. This channel is one of the newer channels that I made in the 2020s because my channel from the 2010s ultimately started receiving strikes and stuff because of some of the questions and things I had about what was going on during the pandemic. But this channel is, like I said, relatively new, at least 2 or 3 years old, or three or 4 years old, I believe. Machine God Eats is, whereas before I was doing content where I would go into the desert. I would make my cartoons and stuff, but I did more content talking about gaming. I did try to do fitness content. I tried to get into, the vlogging stuff, even though I didn't have a lot to talk about. I vaguely talked about certain political things. And if I did, my opinions were very overt. I've always been doing the skits, and my position back in the day, like for instance, on guns, was a lot different than it is now because, like I said, back then, I was super liberal.
Instead of taking guns from people, crazy people, how about we just give the teachers guns? Doesn't that sound like a good idea, kids? Wouldn't you like your teacher and your janitor and your principal and everybody to have a gun? School would be so much fun. But see, I disagree, and I think we should go one step further. Maybe we should arm you guys too. Yeah, the kids. We can give all the kids guns. And that way, if a bad guy comes into the school, everybody can just start shooting at him.
And even though my position on guns and My position on a lot of things obviously leans a lot more conservative now. Obviously, I have weapons of my own. I feel that it's important for people to be armed up. My position on being armed up and everything back then was obviously different, and I was being satirical. And that's why I feel like it's important sometimes to make content for the love of the game, because you can go back and watch where you were politically different, where you were mentally different, how you've come along, how you evolved, how some people could say, you've devolved. You used to be anti-gun, now you're a gun, da da da. It is what it is. I feel like that's an evolution, because I feel like I'm more able to defend myself, my family, and my community. Those are things that I didn't necessarily think about back then, because I felt like, oh, the government will come in and just rescue me. And to see the difference in my mindset from then to now is crazy work. But I still think that shit is that those skits are funny. And back then, when I made the cartoon, when I made the skit, those things were so cringe to me. And now looking back on them, even though they're a few years old, I'm proud of them. You understand? So when people want to get into content creation, especially now in 2026, I say do so because you have a passion for creation. You want to get on here and make some stuff. You want to get on here and maybe be funny. You want to get on here and maybe be informative. You want to get on here and do something. But the incentive for money should be the last thing until you start seeing some progress. You understand? You have to do it for the love of the game, because I've made hundreds and hundreds of videos where nobody saw them, and I did it because I love to do it. And I imagine if I didn't love to do it, how mentally debilitating that would have been. For me, I didn't even kick off originally on YouTube. My first viral video was on TikTok during the pandemic, when this particular, I wish I had it, where this particular soldier got online and she started talking about how they're gonna go to door to door, soldiers kicking in doors and forcing people to take the experimental medication that was going on at the time. And my response to that video went super viral, to the point where I got like millions of views, and my platform grew. By the time my TikTok was taken down years later, I had about 130,000 followers. Whereas followers on TikTok and followers or subscribers on YouTube are completely different things. To have 100,000 followers on YouTube and have 100,000 followers on TikTok, two different things. It means more. Even the 5,000 to 10,000 followers that I've amassed here, that's a lot better than anything that I've had on TikTok, because YouTube is a better platform as far as serving my content to the people that watch me, if that makes sense. 100,000 people can follow you on TikTok and they can stagnate your content, because at the end of the day, a lot of content creation is a bit of a pyramid scheme. And what they do is they give you a little bit of a carrot, especially apps like TikTok, where everybody goes viral if you make enough content. Trust me, you get on there, you make a few dozen videos in a month, you're gonna go viral for one of your takes, okay? And what happens is there's a dopamine hit where you get all this attention, you see all these people either agreeing with you or disagreeing with you. It really doesn't matter. It's more the attention, okay? Driving all this traffic to your channel, all these people following you, all these people responding to you, all these people having this visceral reaction to something that you said. And when I say visceral, because people will literally make videos and stitches talking to you or responding to you or disagreeing with you. And that's such a big thing for a human being to experience, and you get hooked. And in getting hooked, you constantly chasing that dragon. Back in the day, and it ain't that far back in the day, but a couple years ago, when I did have a bigger account over there, I was making 3-4 videos a day, because the incentive at the end of the day was, okay, you're going to go viral 2-3 times a month, and perhaps you'll get a nice little check at the end of the month, not just for selling things on the shop over there. Up until recently, my feet were crustier than a deep dish pizza. But also because of the virality of your video. At the time, the RPMs over there were like, for me, were $1.20 for every 1,000 views. So if I got a video that got over 100,000 views, that's automatically $100. So the incentive to make content and get people onto your channel, it becomes money. It gamifies the whole content creation thing. Whereas when I originally got into content creation, and even when I originally got into making videos on TikTok, I was making cartoons, like the whole the Popeye's chicken sandwich beef thing at the time. I made a whole cartoon about that because the shit was crazy and hilarious to me, but I did it for the love of the game.
Welcome to Popeyes. How can I help you?
I don't know if I want some chicken.
You look like you want some chicken. Don't be shy now. You want some chicken?
What's wrong with Jason? Why is he not moving?
No, he's okay. He's just on his break. You want some chicken? What?
No, I'm okay.
You don't want no
I think I'm
strips
good. I
or
think
wings?
Go get a
Or
burger
how about
something.
putting me on a delicious sandwich? Or dipping me in barbecue sauce? Or hot sauce? How about ranch?
I still can't believe that people were killing each other over chicken sandwiches, but I made that cartoon out of the love of the game at the time. Obviously, making those little cartoons and drawing those characters and everything takes some time to do. Did it for the love of the game, not necessarily because I wanted money out of the situation. Even up to this point, the reason I get on here, even when I don't feel like it after work, and sometimes to get on here and express myself, is because I love doing this. I love this. I love the game. I love content creation. Even if there was no money involved in doing this, I feel that this is such a great thing to archive my mind and what I'm thinking at the time for not just future me, but maybe my kids, when they watch this stuff, or maybe my grandkids or future generations to see, where your mind was. And it's good just to staple yourself in time, even if it's in a digital space, for people to be able to experience you, even if it's in a moment of time. And if you feel like you don't want to get on camera and show yourself, do it in a disembodied voice so people can see your opinion. You never know who, even if it's just distant in the future when you're not here, who would listen to your ideas on life, love, and God, or theology, or whatever. You understand what I'm saying? And take that and maybe inspire them to do something in the future. Sometimes you can look at these things as curses because, like I say, to a certain degree, trying to chase that dragon to get that money is a bit of a pyramid scheme, is a bit of skeezy, addictive, predatory bullshit, and that's why they'll stagnate your videos purposely. I'll talk about that in a minute. But for the most part, these devices, there is a gift in having them and being able to create and record ourselves in this moment in time, or in that moment in time where you feel a certain way, like with the puppet, where how I felt about, the gun situation. And to a certain degree, I still feel like not everybody needs a gun. I don't think that you need to arm everybody in order to whatever. Not going into that, but I feel like it's a good idea to like record yourself and be able to see where you think it, because the present me would argue with past me, and that's an interesting dichotomy to see that to me. So if you want to make content, make it, because it's like a home video. I wish I had more recordings from when I was a teenager, or even when I was around my kids. I have a lot of videos with me and my kids. Obviously, I didn't make a lot of content with them when I started making content because I didn't want to put them on the internet like that. But as far as home videos, I have a ton of home videos like of my kids, and I cherish those videos of my time with my kids and everything. But if you just want to make content or you want to record, and I don't necessarily suggest doing the family content or the couples content or putting the kids up there for whatever. But if you want to record your family for you, do that. Keep it somewhere where you can have it, but also make content that you can put out there in the public that the world can experience, that they can see some insight into. You don't necessarily say have to share your family. You don't necessarily have to share your face, but do it for the love of the game. Don't do it because of the incentive of money, because these apps sometimes will, like I said, it's like a pyramid scheme. Like you're chasing this carrot, okay? You'll get a video that go viral. You say, okay, I'm gonna make a couple $100s off the video. Let me keep doing that type of content because that's what the algorithm wants you to do. But when you keep doing the same type of content, at least for me, that's not genuine. That's why that's why I talk about different stuff all the time, because I talk about what's just on my mind. Now my analytics would tell me, talk about homeless people, or talk about being poor, talk about your job, and I do talk about that stuff because those are things that are part of my life. But it's not the only thing that's a part of my life. I have opinions on stuff that I want to talk about, that I want to share with y'all, that I don't want to talk my girl's head about. I want to talk to the people I work about. I want to talk here into the void, or to the people that are watching this, and do that because I can get that off my chest. You understand? And I don't feel like there's anything wrong with that. I feel like that's a good thing. I feel like shit. There's times I make videos, and once I make the video, I don't even that whatever was vexing me before I turned on the camera is off my chest. It's a good form of therapy as well. But like I say, these apps with that care, like a TikTok, you'll go viral, and then you'll keep trying to make that content because that's what it wants you to do. And then your one video will do 100,000 views. Then your next video will do 300 views. You're like, what the fuck? Well, I got way more followers than that. Why don't that many people see it? And then you'll keep scrolling. And then a couple videos later, you'll see one of your videos. And at the bottom of your video, they be trying to promote selling for you to promote the video. If you want to promote this video to get this many views, pay us $40. If you want to promote this video, buy some ads. No, like like I say, it's a pyramid scheme. But if you're addicted to that attention, what a lot of people do, they're gonna go and they're gonna buy those ads. They're gonna buy that. Me, it's like, no, it's not even worth it. And I've bought ads in the past. I've bought ads on past channels here just to have like a commercial for the channel, right? But the problem with having a commercial for the fucking channel is that sometimes the video, they're pushing it to people that this shit won't relate to. Like a person like me, you showing a commercial of my channel to somebody in Slovakia, and I'm talking about Black American stuff, and I'm talking about the stuff that I talk about here, they're not interested in that. You understand? So you'll get the views, but it don't necessarily translate to people necessarily watching your content. So you didn't just paid all this money to push your channel to people that ain't interested in your content. Is stupid. Same thing with TikTok. You pushing your content to people that don't want to see you. Whereas if you're playing the algorithm naturally to a certain degree, it will push you in front of people. But a lot of this stuff is rigged. That's why some people's channels go straight up, because there are people behind the scenes that push those people's shit up. This is a game. It is a game at the end of the day. Some voices will always stay stagnated because they can't control the person behind the camera. This is the truth. And going into the content creation game, if you let that frustrate you to the point that you don't want to make content, just don't do it. Just stop doing it. If you're going to let it fuck with your mental health to where you're going to take yourself out the game because there's negative comments or people don't agree with your point of view, or whatever the case may be, or you're not getting the attention that you want, or you're not making the money that you want, I say dead the shit. Stop doing it. If you feel like you're making content just to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak, and you're approaching burnout and you feel like, oh my man, I'm just trying to do this to stay up and stay relevant, cut it out, because you can always come back to the internet and make videos. You understand? You've already built an audience in there. If you have an audience there are people that will want to see you. But at the end of the day, make it because you want to make this content. I make this content for y'all because I want to make it. I make it not just for y'all, but I also make it for myself. I make it for my kids. I make it for future generations, for anybody who will see this stuff. Hopefully this channel was never deleted or face any type of strikes or anything like I've had past channels do. So I do my best to be careful, you understand? But I do want to take this content creation thing just a little bit more serious. So I will be making more content, at least in the short form, and putting it up here. I will be making more content and putting it up here. So if y'all get sick of seeing my face sometime, it is what it is. I want to take this seriously, and unfortunately, in order to take this seriously, you do have to make a little bit more content. I always want to make content. I always have something to say, but sometimes I am very lazy, especially after work, and I just choose not to because I would have to edit certain things in and I would have to do X, Y, and Z. But if I want to take this seriously, I have to get over that hump and make myself do stuff instead of just doom scrolling all day or sitting here and scratching my ass or whatever. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it ran a little bit long, but I did want to talk about content creation. I want to talk about even with this channel, I am going to start putting videos on my members only page. I do have a members situation here that I've been neglecting, and those videos will be more so behind the scenes of me making my cartoons. I know I always talk about making my cartoons here, and y'all seen a couple of my old school cartoons in this particular episode, but I am going to start doing behind the scenes on what I'm working on, because I am working on Nuclear Pudding 2 and a couple other projects, and I would like to just have like some long discussions and show the process. I don't think that AI will take over everybody's process, because there will always be people like myself that want to make art for the love of the game. And if you want to get into content creation, I suggest you do the same. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.